Night had fallen over Rust Town when Ryan arrived at the orphanage. His reluctant companion Ghoul was trapped at the back, missing most of his limbs. Ryan hoped his presence would keep the land off the courier's back. For the evening, Ryan told Ghoul he would take him for a walk, but doubted the place was built for the elderly and noted the kids there were too old for him. Ghoul snarled insults which Ryan muffled by closing the car door. Most animals were asleep in the large pen, except for a few dogs barking at Ryan as if he were an intruder. Unlike his previous visit, the orphanage doors were closed, though light shone from inside. Ryan knocked and a little girl in pink opened the door, raising a gun at his face and calling him a druggie. Ryan introduced himself as Mr. Ryan and asked if her mother was home. The girl, Sarah, recognized his name from his hat and asked if he was a magician. Ryan claimed he was demonstrating by stopping time and swapping her revolver for Desert Eagle. Sarah admired the new gun and asked if it was loaded. Ryan confirmed it was, but with the safety on, and offered to switch for other firearms. Sarah confirmed that her mother was inside and said she had said Ryan would come. Ryan asked if he could enter or had to break a window, pointing to a broken one nearby. Sarah allowed him in but warned him not to harm her mother or the others, or she would disappear. His face. Ryan entered as Sarah closed the door behind him. Inside, the orphanage looked as dilapidated as the outside, with peeling wallpaper and only one lamp for 2 rooms. Sarah waved her new gun, guiding Ryan through. Ryan surmised the place had been an animal shelter repurposed into an orphanage, with kids sleeping or reading old books in caged compartments originally meant for animals. Some children slept with cats or dogs under their bedsheets. Ryan found Len in the kitchen cooking fish for 4 kids gathered around a table. She wore the same brown diving suit as before and kept a water gun in the corner. The kitchen was poorly equipped. Len used a camping stove for the meat she froze upon seeing Ryan, who removed his hat and mask. Julia, the girl Psyshock had tried to brainjack, asked who Ryan was. Ryan recognized her facial features resembled Psyshock's, which sent a chill down his spine. Ryan also noticed a boy who had been playing with Sarah before the psychos attacked, accompanied by his golden retriever wagging its tail. The boy commented that Ryan looked weird in his costume. Sarah showed off her Desert Eagle, prompting Len to scold her for pointing weapons at strangers, but did not take the gun away. Sarah insisted she knew how to use it, and a boy taunted her for not being able to hit a soda can at 3 meters, which Sarah confirmed by pinching him. Len introduced the kids as Sarah, Julia, Romaine, Albus, and Valeria, explaining to them that Ryan was an old friend. Valeria asked if he came from the magical place, but Sarah warned her not to talk about to strangers. Len reassured Sarah and asked her to serve food to the others while she spoke with Ryan. A boy teased Len about whether Ryan was her friend or boyfriend, and she responded with a strained smile. Ryan remained silent, choosing not to embarrass her. Len promised she would be back soon, grabbing the water gun and leading Ryan outside the kitchen. The kids watched them suspiciously, with Sarah clapping to get their attention. Ryan awkwardly complimented Len on what she was doing there. She thanked him and led him upstairs to the roof, explaining they could talk there without the kids pestering them through the door. Ryan suspected the children would try to eavesdrop anyway, drawn by the magician's hat. Len locked the door behind them. Ryan sat at the edge of the roof with his feet dangling, and Len sat a few meters apart holding her water gun. They both looked at the sky above, where stars shone brightly despite the lights of New Rome and polluted air. Ryan wondered about investing time in researching how to build a spaceship to explore the universe, imagining a ski vacation on Pluto. Ryan remarked that the scene reminded him of old days when they debated whether sentient life existed beyond Earth. Len said she still believed they were alone in the universe, describing it as dark and cold beyond their planet. Ryan argued they were not alone and that the stars shone brighter still. Len shifted uncomfortably, and Ryan realized his small talk had made things awkward. Len asked if they had already had this conversation, and Ryan confirmed they had talked once at her underwater house. She had told him she did not want to see him after he led the carnival to her father, that she had known he was alive for 2 years and had built her underwater base for Sarah and the others. Len muttered that time travel was possible since many violets could alter spacetime on a limited basis, but she still could not grasp. She asked if Ryan traveled physically or if it was just information transfer. Ryan explained he could mentally return to a point-fixed, specific moment with his last save point made a few hours ago, meaning only his consciousness traveled back in time. Len compared it to a save point in video games. Ryan said he could not move his save point back into the past because creating a new one erased the previous. He wished he could save her father, save them, save the world, but he could not change the past, only the present and future. What was done was done. Len winced at Ryan's words, and he immediately regretted his bluntness, but insisted on honesty to prevent false hope. When Len asked how his power worked and whether he created or traveled to alternate timelines, Ryan shook his head and explained using Schrodinger's cat as an analogy. He described the space-time continuum as a black box containing all moments in time and possible timelines, past, present, and future. Len countered that the universe seemed too vast to fit inside such a box, to which Ryan replied that it just needed to be folded enough times. When Len asked if something existed outside the universe, Ryan confirmed a dimension outside space and time which he called the purple world. He explained that he existed simultaneously 2 points in time, one version trapped in the purple world between 2 seconds and another continuing in the present, sharing the same consciousness. He called this temporal bilocation. Len's expression shifted to horror as she realized that when Ryan died, he was both alive and dead at once, like Schrodinger's cat. Ryan confirmed this, but added that his consciousness spread between the 2 versions allowed him to collapse the timeline where he died and create a new copy from his save point, effectively undoing all events between the 2 points. Len asked if he had to die to trigger this power, and Ryan admitted he had done countless times. Despite the horror of he had grown accustomed to the process after the first 30 or so times. Len worried that conceptual powers or memory altering attacks could affect both versions of him, and Ryan agreed, citing someone like Cancel as a threat who could unravel his power if he died near her. Len then inquired about his time-stopping ability, suspecting he might have taken 2 elixirs like her father or was a psycho. Ryan clarified that his power was only the save point and the time stop was an application of created by converging his 2 selves to produce a temporal anomaly where only he could interact with objects. He warned that maintaining it beyond 10 seconds caused the 2 versions to fuse, forcing an early restart. Ryan revealed he had spent decades studying the purple world to improve his power and create multiple save points, which was why he built the chronoradio. Len guessed correctly. Ryan admitted he had not succeeded in physically entering the purple world and asked how she hacked into the chronoradio or knew about it. Blushing, Len confessed she had been watching him for a while. Ryan explained that some violet genomes could access the purple world's power, possibly all violet genomes deriving their abilities from it, as a human body could not perform such feats even when mutated. Len asked Ryan's age, and he admitted he had lost count, estimating between 500 and 800 years old. When Len expressed guilt for not knowing he had been searching for her, Ryan reassured her that he had thought she was dead or unreachable for decades until he found a piece of her technology that led him to New Rome. Len turned away, holding back tears, which Ryan noticed and gently addressed. She admitted she was crying for him, overwhelmed by the centuries he had spent alone. Ryan tried to reach, but she flinched, asking for time to process everything. Ryan assured her they had all the time in the world, but Len's face darkened as she reminded him that every time he died everyone forgot him except her. Ryan acknowledged that she was the only person who remembered him from before the time loop and admitted it was selfish but true. Len understood that he had hoped she was the only one who could make his eternity less lonely and asked if there was any way for others to remember him or replicate his power. Ryan said he could only carry his own mind through restarts and had never found technology or a genome capable of copying his power. He feared crossing lines that would leave consequences in memories, and he was afraid of what he might become if he grew accustomed to blood bloodshed and brutality. Len guessed he feared becoming like her father. Ryan silently confirmed this, having witnessed the sociopathic brutality her father embodied and its irreversible effects. Len then suggested asking Dynamis, despite her clear dislike of the idea since they could copy powers. Ryan explained that the knockoff elixirs only replicated the genetic aspect of powers, not the cosmic physics that supported them, which was why their potions were weaker than the originals. For example, a firebrand elixir enabled person to produce fire using their own enhanced bodies' calories, but a true red genome had access to a near infinite power source unless they could somehow access the purple world. A knockoff elixir based on Ryan's genes would have no effect. Len remained silent for a few seconds before putting her water gun away and crossing her arms, a posture Ryan recognized from when she entered a genius fugue state or conceived a new idea. Len lamented that it was happening again. She could create wonders, but nothing that could help Ryan. Now comparing herself to their father, Ryan reassured her that it was fine, appreciating her willingness to help and reminding her that even Vulcan admired her work despite her ego. Len smiled thinly but without warmth and questioned the point of their conversation. If Ryan believed there was no solution and that she would forget it. Ryan admitted he didn't think there was a solution but wanted one to exist. He mentioned Vulcan's progress on upgrading powers, Mecran's capabilities, and the cache of technology beneath the earth, expressing hope despite slim chances of being remembered or making amends. Len said nothing. Her gaze thoughtful. Ryan shifted the topic to Psyshock's impending attack on the place in 2 days. Len asked why, saddened but unsurprised, likely expecting such an event since Big Fat Adam and his crew moved in. Ryan explained that a bunker full of Mecran tech lay beneath the junkyard and the Meta were trying to break in. Psyshock would likely try to collect the children once they ran out of cannon fodder, and someone at Dynamis supplied them with knockoff elixirs for unknown reasons. Len's skin paled as Ryan spoke, but he promised to handle the situation, reminding her he had done it before. Len shook her head, glancing toward Rusttown and New Rome beyond, stating the city would never improve despite efforts. She explained it was bad even before the Meta arrived, criticizing Dynamis and the Augusti as caring only about money and power. She had tried to make a difference but resigned that things were as they were, calling the place the New Babylon rather than New Rome. Ryan insisted the city could improve, pointing at the stars and telling Len that despite the darkness she saw light existed everywhere. Len expressed disbelief, recalling their previous argument. Ryan admitted that after their last talk he had hoped to wipe out the Meta honor debts and make the surface livable enough for Len to return. She insisted he didn't have to, suggesting the Meta and Augusti destroy each other. Ryan argued they couldn't allow the Meta to acquire Mecran's weaponry, warning it would lead to the genome wars all over again. Bloodstream on a countrywide scale. Len warned Ryan that it would destroy him, stating he was unstable and had failed many times. Ryan replied that he had failed enough to succeed. Len absorbed his words silently, seeming to withdraw further. Ryan apologized for burdening her with everything and stood dangerously close to the edge, thanking her for listening. Len asked where he was going. Ryan replied that he needed to go to a hotel in the city center to ensure events proceeded favorably. Len refused and urged him to stay where he was, admitting it was uncomfortable but offering shelter for the night. Ryan tried to protest, saying that if he didn't go to the hotel, Wyvern and Vulcan wouldn't, but Len pleaded, requesting he stay this time. Seeing her pleading eyes and worry, Ryan's resistance melted and he agreed to stay. Ryan woke on a terrible mattress with a Persian cat resting on his chest, his pure white fur and lazy expression resembling perfect Bond villain cat. He joyfully named it Eugene Henry von Schrödinger. After briefly checking its gender, Eugene Henry meowed in response. Sarah's voice came from the adjacent cell, complaining about the name. Ryan defended it, scratching the cat behind its ears and joking about its laziness. Sarah peeked into Ryan's space, noting the cat's ability to find suckers willing to feed it and its fatness. Ryan defended Eugene Henry, recounting how the cat ignored a rat held close to its face. Sarah mentioned the presence of a shower, though the water was muddy, and that Ma planned to fix it after checking Ryan's car. Ryan hoped she wouldn't find the bodies he had hidden. Sarah casually referred to a spot called the Happy Hole, a tourist attraction in Rust Town. As Ryan dressed, he noticed a bomb and some weapons were missing, indicating someone had searched his belongings while he slept. Although Len was willing to help, she did not fully trust him. Yet Ryan emerged from the orphanage to find Len tinkering with his car, the hood open and the water gun set aside to her right. Ryan teased Len about wrecking an all-American car and suggested she find a Lada instead. Len turned away from the engine, her expression serious as she grabbed the water gun and questioned Ryan about what he had done. Ryan glanced inside the car hood while Len kept the weapon aimed at his head. She had found the brain and jumped to conclusions. Len hesitated but asked if Ryan had put someone inside the car. Ryan raised his hands and reassured her he was kidding, that it was not even sentient, though he joked about how many tries took to find the right person. Len made a mortified face. Len sputtered at Ryan not to joke about the matter, keeping her weapon raised. Ryan apologized, explaining that he defaulted to humor when stressed and had missed his morning coffee. Len remained stiff and grim, asking where the device had come from. Ryan replied that it was vat-grown, a gift from another genius. When Len expressed doubt, Ryan reassured her he was not a serial killer abducting hobos for experiments. Len admitted she wanted to believe he wasn't crazy, but pointed out that he kept a thermonuclear device near children. Ryan wished she didn't know about the plushie and assured her there were no permanent consequences around him. Len worried about the possibility of him jumping into another universe every time he died and leaving a nuclear crater behind. Ryan guaranteed that his power only affected their universe and caused an alcohol blackout, not alternate universe jumps. Len found that even scarier, realizing Ryan could rewrite the entire space-time continuum almost at will, warping reality rather than just manipulating time. Ryan joked that while some people got water guns for Christmas, he had a fat man tapping the tip of her water gun. Len hesitated but eventually lowered the weapon, demanding he behave while staying there and forbidding anything dangerous near the kids. Ryan promised to get rid of the bomb, offering to hand it over to Vulcan as sign of friendship and swearing she would never see it again. After a long hesitation, Len searched her jumpsuit and handed the bomb to Ryan, their gloves brushing briefly. Despite her reluctance, she gave it to him, wanting to trust that he wouldn't disappoint her. Len asked why Ryan had even touched such a weapon. Ryan sighed and admitted he was bored and thought it would be fun to have nuke as a restart button. When Len asked why he didn't just use his time stop ability to restart, Ryan explained that early restart meant an actual early restart which required suicide. He revealed that his nickname Quicksave referred to this mechanism, and since he had to commit suicide to go back in time, he made it interesting. Len looked at him with pity, sadness, and compassion, questioning if he thought his life was worthless. Ryan denied that, saying he loved living and that as long as he existed there was always a chance for things to improve. After an awkward silence, Len abruptly changed the subject, asking if he had slept well. Ryan said he had slept in worse places but shuddered at the memory of one of his worst deaths and warned her not to sleep in Monaco. When she asked why, he explained he came from the future and advised her not to go there. Len began putting the engine pieces back in place while Ryan asked if he should expect a mounted water turret, hoping she had added a gadget. She said she was just checking the chronoradio and its parts. Ryan noticed she still held the water gun but no longer pointed it at him. Ryan boasted about his car, calling it good tech and noting she was the last genius to work on it. Len acknowledged there was much she could work with and closed the hood. When finished, she asked why he had hooked a miniature particle accelerator to the radio. Ryan explained that the purple world was a crossroad not only between time and space but between various dimensions. He described how some violet genomes summoned creatures from alternate dimensions, some of which were unstable alternate Earth histories that only became real when observed. Len admitted she didn't follow, so Ryan elaborated that humans thought time was stable but it was ever changing like water. He jumped back in time and saw it change. Len worried aloud, unable to say it outright, if he had considered destroying the universe and everyone in it. When he died, Ryan admitted he tried not to think about viewing it as a universal memory wipe rather rather than a disaster. He hoped the chronoradio would help him locate a specific reality and cross over. Len guessed he sought a timeline where things went well for them, and Ryan confirmed this with a sigh. Opening his car door, she asked if he was going, worried he might get killed, especially with the undead madman in the backseat. Ryan said he expected a recruitment offer from Wyvern and then Vulcan, but wasn't sure if it would happen if he stayed in Rust Town afterward. He planned to have his windshield cleaned and leave Bone Daddy for someone else. Len frowned deeper when Ryan mentioned Wyvern. He explained he had heard Dynamis had jailed her and investigated. Len angrily described how Dynamis used Rust Town citizens as underpaid labor in dangerous